Own the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode...
It makes me feel good when I come to work. I went to jobs for many years where I didn't feel good when I walked into the office. Well, I've fixed it so that as junky as it looks to anybody else, this makes me feel good to come in here.
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination.
Hey there, thanks for joining us on this episode of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. Kelly, you remember when there used to be bookstores everywhere?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were in malls,
Yep.
which were everywhere as well. I mean, a lot of freestanding. For example, Barnes & Noble was kind of king at one point.
Books A Million was another. Borders was another one of those big nationwide. I love the fact that they became those stores where you could not only go in and buy a book, but you could get a cup of coffee or, in our case, a glass of tea.
Yep.
And sit down, kind of peruse your book before you actually bought it if you wanted to.
And then all of a sudden they just started disappearing.
Yep, that's what happened with this thing called the internet. There are still a few around, and we were lucky enough on a recent trip to Alabama to discover one, hidden gem right in the middle of a big city. Maybe you have noticed there aren't as many bookstores around anymore. This thing called the internet came along out of nowhere and stole them, swept them away like a mighty hurricane, leaving a few here and there to whimper and die a slow death.
So when we heard about a place smack dab in the middle of Birmingham, Alabama, a place that brings people from all over the world to walk through the shelves and stare at the bound copies of Moby Dick and Robinson Crusoe like they are ancient artifacts from another world, we had to go.
Now, the first thing you need to know is that Birmingham, Alabama is different somehow. Not unique, because there are places like it all over the southern United States, but, different, especially if you ain't from around here.
We get visitors from all over the country. In fact, all over the world by accident. You know, they're lost, they're on their way to someplace else. They'll say things like, people are looking me straight in the eye and they're saying good morning. Are they being hostile? They may have an image of what Birmingham, but we don't know. Here's my chance to reverse that. So I will lead them, if they're leadable, into, this is what our mamas taught us. They would roll over in their graves if we didn't say please and thank you. Yes, sir, no, sir, and open the door for you. We just do that. That doesn't mean we're any better or any different from anybody else. It means that's our style of living.
It's who you are.
Yeah. So I'll send them back out, if they seem to be able to listen, and make sure that they go to a diner where the waitress will call her you sweetie, and when they come back, they almost always say, you're right, this is kind of nice. I might like to move here. People are just friendly.
Meet Jim Reed, the proprietor of Jim Reed's Bookstore and Museum of Fond Memories. And yes, there's a story to that name, but to understand that, you first need to know how Jim grew up.
Suffice it to say that Jim's childhood, his entire human existence until now, has factored heavily into why he does what he does and what this place is all about.
I was born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I had what I thought then in the 1940s and 50s was a normal place because it was the only place I knew. We were lower middle class or upper lower class, I have no idea which. Never have known, never knew whether we were poor or not. But my father was a carpenter, my mother was a housewife, I had 5 kids in the family, and we just had life. You know, and back then it was playing in the yard like Calvin and Hobbes do. You know that the last couple of kids in the world play in the yard. You can drive through neighborhoods and nobody's there. We didn't dare get in trouble anywhere because everybody knew each other. And the neighbor had a right to discipline us just like our parents did. The teacher had a right to discipline us, just like my mother did. So they didn't go sue the teacher for making us do our homework. They complimented them and sent them fruit. It was a wonderful young childhood. Then you read books because this is before television was in homes. Homes did not have television when I was a little kid. So I was raised without television until I was maybe a teenager. So we learned to use our imagination. We read a book, and the book was much better than ever seeing it on some little TV if somebody had one, or listening to it on the radio, because we could imagine what the beautiful princess looked like. We could make more beautiful princesses. We could make more horrible dragons, better than anything anybody would show us. That was my childhood, reading books. Every book was a pop-up book to me. You know what a pop-up book is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When you open it, every book seemed that way to me when I was a kid. And it still does.
It's because
It's a
everything
magical
came
world.
to life. You have customers. Go ahead.
What's going on? Come in. Hey, how are y'all? Look around. We'll get with you eventually. Come and ask questions. Interrupt me because customers come first, even before world-famous podcasters. Come and get me.
Has anyone in this group never been in here?
I've never been in.
Move closer here so we can.
What's the
What
matter
did
with
they
you?
tell you about this place?
How did they describe this place to you?
It's a place that you'll never escape from because it has everything. The most unusual curiosities and books and so forth that you can wander for hours and hours.
What did you think when you heard that?
I'm going.
Oh, yeah, you might have gotten the idea that this isn't just a bookstore. Remember? Jim Reed's Bookstore and Museum of Fond Memories? While there are thousands and thousands of books to be found here, there are hundreds of thousands of mostly indescribable things offered here as well.
Stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. Stuff that makes you have, well, fond memories. And it all started with Jim's mother and some advice from his favorite author, Ray Bradbury, who once said,
If you're going to do something, jump off the mountain and build your wings on the way down. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Jim had spent his life doing all kinds of things surrounding media, radio and television, public relations, even advertising, where he says he was an early day madman.
and while he wasn't unhappy, well, he wasn't happy either. Jim finally decided to create his happy place. What is this place?
Well, my mother, who was my greatest influence, loved people. She loved watching people. She loved describing people and talking about people. So I'm a people watcher because of my mother. And so I started writing stuff, notes and drawings and whatever. When I was so depressed with a madman career that I wanted to get in the fetal position and never get up, I thought, now's the time to take Bradbury's advice. And so I jumped off the cliff. Didn't have any plan except that it was going to be books because books never let me down. It's going to be a museum because my mother, the way she experienced the world was by touching, smelling, feeling. And when she went to a museum, they would slap her hands and tell her to get away. You don't touch things in a museum. You can't take them home. You can't take what's in a museum home. I said, I'm going to have a museum where you can touch it, look at it, smell it, heft it, and buy it if you want and take it home. So that was in memory of her, the Museum of Fond Memories.
What's the most important thing in life to you?
Just Henry James said this quote, it's beautiful to me. He said, the most important thing in life, there are three things. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind. Think of how the world would change if people just did that.
Jim Reed's bookstore is in a town that has a lot of history, of course. A lot of people that I mention this town to seem to think first of the negative history. But like most subjects, Jim had thoughts on that too. Let's listen to the rest of our interview with Jim Reed.
It's a friendly town, but then lots of towns in the South and other places in the world are friendly too, if you give them a chance.
If you give them a chance.
Yeah, so it's a friendly town, and I met Bishop Spong one time, and he reviewed one of my books, but I got to talk to him, and he said everywhere he flew, because of a woman who was on the plane with him, talking to him one time. He went in looking for good people because she said, is this a bad town or a good town that I'm flying into? And he said, it occurred to him, you will find who you look for. If you come to a town and look for good people, you'll find them everywhere. If you come to a town and look for bad people, you will find them. So I thought, wow, that's something I should learn and repeat often and bore people with. But it's true.
It is true.
And I'm finding that they'll go back out the door and they'll come back and say, they're finding what I told them they would find. And I'm not sure that I was totally true, but I'm giving them a chance to look at us through positive eyes before they just leave town and say, well, we stopped at that redneck town and nobody talked to us and I'm glad we didn't stay there. Well, if you get a chance to stop somebody and sort of fool with their minds a little bit, you can have some fun, and you can also sometimes change people's attitudes. What am I lecturing for? You just ask a simple question.
That everything that you just said, though, comes down to you find what you seek.
Yes, yes.
So seek the positive and you're going to find it.
I feel like I got lucky because I had an early leave it to Beaver, but maybe with add-ons.
And then how did you get into writing and collecting?
Just using my imagination. Everything was a playground to us kids, and neighborhood kids. An old rocking chair we could turn upside down, and the vertical bars on the back would become bank teller bars.
You said bank teller. I immediately, my mind went to jail.
That was the second thing. I could imprison my younger brother, Ronnie, because he would do anything. He worshiped me, so I could abuse him all over the place. He was the one we put in jail, And if I played Tarzan, he played boy. And our
better than the chimp, I guess.
And our cousin Sarah told me 50 years later that the greatest honor of her life was when she was a kid and came over to play. We allowed her to be Cheetah, the chimpanzee.
Oh.
You allowed her
yes.
to be.
So it was that kind of thing, and we can still laugh about it to this day.
It sure is fun painting this fence. You ought to try it.
Oh, yeah. And we were big Tom Sawyer fans because that was the first play I was ever in. I was Tom Sawyer. So that set my head big, for doing amateur theater. But anyhow, you wanted to know my career? I don't know what you want to know.
Yeah, give us the quick highlights.
Just very quickly, I'm 17 years old. I graduate from high school. I have no plan. I have not imagined what would happen the next day. I can't imagine now how it could be that clueless.
None of them know what they're going to do.
Yeah, my friends said we were going to go down and register for college in summer, so we'll be ready in the fall. I said, oh, well, I'll come and stand in line with you. Well, that's how I got in college. I said, oh, well, there's a form. I'll fill it out.
He showed up.
The University of Alabama, there were no requirements. It was
just
cheap.
Come on.
They would take any idiot. And the other thing was I didn't know what I was going to do to make a living. So my friend, who was 1 year ahead of me, was already working in Alabama Public Television as a director. And that was the first public television station in the country. I learned later. Yep. But they also had a public radio station, the model for a lot of other stations later. So he says, you got to get a job or a life, so come on down to the station and apply for the camera pushing job. The multi-ton cameras that they had back then, all black and white. And he said that any idiot can push a camera, so you might get the job. And he was right. I got down there. They heard my voice and said, you sound like an announcer, go next door and audition. I was on the air the next day on public radio. It is that coincidental. Nothing I did except just be in that place at that time.
You didn't try for any of this.
It just came to you.
Now, I was already confident of, being an introvert that's how you become an actor. Most of the actors I know are introverts. Mm-hmm. And it's the only time anybody pays attention to you. So in school, I had done a couple of readings and got applaud. And a cute little girl across the aisle from me who never paid attention to me suddenly leaned over and said, that was good. So I thought,
because he's
Jingo,
an actor.
Girls, yeah.
Now he's beautiful.
Audience, applause.
Stage,
wow. So my head
lights.
got real big. So I did a lot of amateur theater, which was fun, got me out of the house. And when I got up on the stage, I had no fear. I felt great. Then when I got off the stage, I was shy again and a wimpy kid. So that's kind of, I don't have any moral lesson to get out of this. It's just that I was there at the time and got the job. So I spent 10 years going from that to television on air. I was always on air. even though I did everything else. In the early days, you probably did too.
I did,
Cleaned the
yeah.
men's room at the top, as
Yeah.
well as, you know,
Picked up
Anchor
my
the
boss's
news.
typed the
laundry.
logs. Yeah. Did everything. I can remember going on the air when we didn't have a weather board. Back then they had weather girls and weather guys. And the artist who was in charge of designing the board always did things late. So I was on the air for the first 15 minutes reading the news in the Huntley Brinkley fashion. I could see him next to me freehand drawing the United States of America on the weather board so that we would have a weather board by the time the camera came to the weather girl. So, you know, you've been through times like that,
Oh,
probably.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was Mickey Mouse television.
Right. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just doing it.
We loved it. We would have done it
Yes.
for free, but we
Yes.
never told that.
No, of course not.
That was the accident. But,
You never
know,
got
once
to
you
be
get-
the guy with the camera, though. You never.
No, never had to. Well, yeah, I did that.
You did
'Cause
that too.
Once you're with a television station, you know, so and so is sick, so I'm pushing the camera, photographing Curtis Lake and the Foggy Bottom Boys, or whatever they call themselves, doing a live country and western show on Saturday night. Then I did the news at 10 o'clock. You know, so
You know what the requirement for being the guy in the studio that pushes the camera around
No.
is? You have to have comfortable shoes and a cardigan sweater. You know,
we weren't that classy.
the studio's always cold.
Always.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
and the comfortable
Well, the
shoes because
equipment.
you stand a lot.
Okay.
You know, so I learned that early.
Yeah.
That you got to have both of those.
It was fun. It was
So how did you get into writing and
Well, I was always doodling, and I wanted to write, and I was good. I mean, I knew English, and I was the feature editor of the school paper in high school, and all that kind of stuff. I did all that stuff, and I wrote everything that was brought to me, but it was always for somebody else. So the first half of my life, I wrote for other people. We'll shortcut it here. Everything from grants to speeches to being a press secretary for a university, being the guy at the headlights. You know, the bosses hated me because they think I didn't hold enough back from the press. The press hated me because they thought I was holding back from them. There was no way to win. Just
Right.
disrespect and fun. So I didn't know what to write for myself. So I kept trying to write for myself, and I did little things. So finally, skipping ahead, I finally get out of that and the madman career that I had later. You don't want to know about that. And my soul had been eaten out of my body by the advertising career.
I knew when it was going to be advertising.
had to be?
Madman.
that eats your
I
soul,
was the
yes.
Don Draper of public relations.
Yes. Yeah.
I had hair. I was skinny, three-piece suit, eyeglasses. I was a madman. I have this feel for the books, and it's hard to let them go because you can't really control what happens to them when they leave the shop. You hope that you've given them a good home, but you've given it a shot because you can't control everything.
Kind of like raising kids.
Oh yeah, they turn on you instantly.
the books don't?
Hey, books don't turn
No,
on you.
you have no idea what they're going to do once they leave.
That's true. That's
That
true.
is true.
In my case, I'm a very lucky man because my kids are really lovely kids. I feel like I had nothing to do with it. They're wonderful to me and my wife, and we're just so lucky. And we have grandkids and great-grandkids and all that kind of stuff. But maybe we stayed out of their way. Maybe that's why they were able to grow and nurture themselves.
What is the most valuable book you've ever handled in here? Monetarily.
Oh, you're just talking about money. Oh, that's hard for me to do because I don't like money. My favorite fictional character in Antiques and Old Books is Ian McShane's character, Lovejoy. Remember that series?
Yes.
Listen to him. His philosophy is all through that series. He said, everything has value except money. Everything has value except money. That's another quote that's stuck in my brain. So let me think monetarily. The most valuable, you mean the most expensive one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a book printed in 1579 that I bought from a convent that's in Latin, and it's bound in goat skin, and it's beautiful, and the paper is white. It never turns yellow because it's high rag content papers, good paper. That's probably the most expensively priced thing I have right now. And it has a story, like I got it from a convent. Isn't that nice? That doesn't happen every day. They had a building program. They had some books stuck in a closet. They knew they couldn't put this book out for people to look at because they'd tear it apart. And yet, what good is a book if you can't touch it and hug
Open
it like
it.
a baby and nurture it? So they had some books like that, and they said, we need money for a building program. And I said, what do you want? And they said, we'll make an offer. And it worked. So yeah. That's one. And then I've got one that's even more valuable because it's handwritten in Latin and Greek by students, philosophy students. And it's a little, wonderful little book.
I'm willing to bet you that as valuable as they are monetarily, those aren't your favorite books in here.
Oh, no.
What are
would
your
that be? Yeah.
What are your favorite books in here?
Well, James Dickey has a thing about okra. He said, if God made anything better than okra, he kept it back for himself. For okra lovers, they know what you're talking about. My favorite books are not here. I kept it back for myself. They're at home on my bookshelf there.
What are they?
Well, Ray Bradbury's first book, 1947, signed by him, and it's inscribed to the author, to the critic who gave him his first review. Well, somehow over a 60-year period, that book got out into the market. The guy obviously died, and Ray Bradbury came to town, and it was 40 years later, and I thought, I'm going to take this book down after I bought it, get him to sign it again. So he signed it twice, 40 years apart. When he opens it, he says, I'm getting old, look at my handwriting, it's terrible. He was a great guy, very, very humorous guy. He's my favorite author, so that was my big deal. And I had to pay down payments on that book because the guy on the West Coast had it. And he knew Ray Bradbury, and he knew it was valuable. So that's probably the thing I would.
That's the
I'm
thing
going to take it with me. I'm going to have it gone up and injected so I can take it with me.
If there was a fire, that's what you would grab at home, right? Is that book?
Well, let's see, wife.
Yeah, well,
Wife book.
I grab
Maybe
them
if
both.
she grabs the book and you grab
You
the
got
wife.
it. We got a plan. Unlike the rest of my life, there's a plan.
There's a plan there. When people come in here, what do you want them to take with them when they leave?
I want them to know that they have seen something special that they won't see anywhere else because it's not a chain, it's not franchised. And I want them to know or feel, even if they can't consciously verbalize it, that they were treated right by a store owner who cared that they were there and who paid attention to them. Because I go into lots of stores where people have the attitude, what are you doing here? You're in my way. I'm busy working I'm busy. Oh, yeah, what do you want? I don't ever want to go to a store like that. I want to go where people welcome you. This is my home. What can I do for you? Can I hover over you and annoy you? Or should I leave you alone and let you just wander and then you come and get me when you need me? I tell them all this. I wanted to think that. I wanted to know that they were taken care of by somebody who cared. So it's that old thing about people remember how you make them feel. They don't remember you or your name or all kinds of other stuff. They remember how you made them feel.
you don't care if they buy anything, do you?
Not really. Not really.
That's not what this is about.
You know, I got to make a living. It's not. I don't have enough retirement because of my accidental way I bounced around on jobs. But I have to make a living. But I could make a lot more if I, cared more about. I just don't care about money. I've never had money. Don't know what I would do with it if I had it. I feel like it would corrupt me if I had it. So I just bounce along. Fortunately, I'm married to someone who understands and tolerates that.
But you do care about having a lot of this stuff.
I care about integrity. I care about people being cared for. I care about if they think about me at all. I'd like them to think of, well, that's an old guy. He may have been strange looking, but he was nice to me and he really liked what he did. If they just think that, I'm happy. That sounds corny, but it's true.
And when you're kind and truly passionate about what you do, it truly changes how you see things. You approach your work, people, all with a different energy. It's not just about getting things done anymore. It's about doing them with purpose. You care more, you connect more, and that mindset opens up so many unexpected opportunities. It just puts you in a better space, both personally and professionally, and I think Jim Reed is right there. Thanks again to our sponsor, Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings, for allowing us to travel all over the country and tell these amazing stories, as well as a big thank you to Odyssey, who gives us the platform to bring these stories to you. Thanks for listening to this week's edition of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to On the Road with Kelly and Bob wherever you get your podcast, or download that free Odyssey app. Listen anytime, anywhere.